Okay, good evening YouTube and welcome to episode 24 of the FPL family. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and we are going to be reacting to game week, what are we on, 15 of the FPL already, and it's been a busy couple of weeks. In particular, the last week or so, we actually didn't do a video in the middle of last week. We did a Periscope because there's literally so much FPL, so much Premier League going on. We just genuinely didn't have time, but it feels really good to be back tonight. Two pretty decent scores this week. Go on then, hit us with your team. How did you get on?
Yeah, I've done well this week. I have got 70. Which
that is a cracking score, by the way. That is a cracking score.
Yeah, really
Who's
pleased.
your star men? There's got to be more than one.
Fair few of them this week. Otamendi, obviously, with 11. That's nice, thank you.
11?
Yeah, Silva popped up with a goal for me as well in that game, so that's 9 for him.
I tell you what, before he scored, Otamendi, Twitter was all full of, oh, he's got to go, I can't have Otamendi, they never keep clean sheets. And then he just pops up again with his third goal in like however many weeks, and everyone's on him again, right?
I mean, I said to you literally about 4 minutes before the Silva goal went in, I think I'm going to transfer Silva out this week because he's not doing anything. and then he pops up with a goal. What can you do?
So you had Otamendi and Silva, anybody else?
Silva, I have Firmino. For Liverpool.
Firmino, brilliant stuff. How many points?
13.
13 for
so
Firmino.
I was well happy with him.
That was funny actually, wasn't it, in our living room, because I'm sitting there going, yes, Bobby, go on, because obviously Liverpool winning, and you're going, yes, Firmino, FPL points. So it was a good afternoon all round there, wasn't it?
I had Morata as my captain this week.
Nice choice, nice.
Took it off Kane, and we can talk about why I did that later on.
Is that your first week without having Kane?
It's my second week without Kane as captain, because obviously he missed a week, didn't he?
Okay, and I want to talk to you later on about Kane's future prospects as a captain pick, because there's a lot of blanks going on for Kane right now.
But I was pleased with captaining Morata. That worked well for me in the end, although I did feel quite uneasy when I took the armband off Harry, I must admit. And even Foster kept me a clean sheet. So yeah, points all over this week. So I'm really happy with that. I should have some nice green arrows for my team this week.
Nice, okay.
And two free transfers in the bag for the game week.
Oh, so you actually held a couple? So
because I nearly did Firmino out, didn't I? Glad I didn't.
Oh, you just didn't? Okay. Who would you have got in?
Well, that was why I didn't do it in the end, because the aim was to free up some money from Firmino to do a midfield change. So I wanted to make 2 changes anyway, so I figured I'd wait a week and see what happens. But actually, as it is, I'm now thinking, maybe I won't bother.
Yeah, and I want to come to that a bit later on, or maybe we do it in the next video when we talk about transfers for next week, because I see a lot of people wanting to take some money out of that third striker position and reinvest it in the midfield, because that seems to be where a lot of the value is right now.
Sure.
But who do you have in that third striker position? I must admit, sitting here this afternoon, I thought Callum Wilson was going to be the answer to that, and then he drops him. Maybe it's a rest, but starting on the bench, you don't want that coming into Christmas. You want somebody who's definitely going to play. And then in that game, Charlie Austin pops up with his second goal, or maybe his third goal in 2 games, or whatever it is. So maybe he's an option.
And we can talk about it in our next vlog in more detail. But you've got the revival at Everton to consider as well.
Absolutely, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Nias potentially. Yeah, absolutely.
Even Rooney, maybe.
Don't push it. Yeah, don't push it. Yeah, so you got 70. That is very, very good. I must admit, I was on 62, I think I finished on, and I was pretty happy with that. Well, very happy with that indeed. Particularly as I had Hazard captain, so I was really chuffed with that.
Yeah, we were annoying each other, weren't we, during the Chelsea game with the Morata and Hazard captain.
Well, at the end of that game, I'm like, right, 30 points for my captain. You ain't never catching me this game week. And then the points just kept rolling in for you. So I've had I think I had a pretty good game week, although really a lot of my points, obviously, it's the Hazard captain, whereas you've had a very good team performance, haven't you? Saying that, I had Morata, so that was good. I think Salah got just an assist, didn't he, this week? I say just an assist. He's more points, he keeps returning. Off the bench. Jesus got an assist off the bench, which I think was good. But that was really hard to watch, that City game, because that kicked off. Sterling started, Sané started, Aguero started. I got none of those. Silva started, KDB started. I'm like, this is going to be just awkward viewing. And then I think I posted something on Twitter about, wouldn't it be great if it was a West Ham 1-0 win? 1-0 to West Ham at half-time. I was like, this is sensational.
To be fair, I just thought West Ham were a bit unlucky, and we can talk about that in a bit, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think they sat back and just invited the pressure.
Hard, didn't they?
Oh, all right, tried really hard. This is the Premier League. You've got to be really good going to the Etihad, not just try really hard.
But still, best I've seen West Ham play in a long, long time.
I think Moyes and his guys will take, they'll take some comfort in knowing that, you thought they tried really hard.
Well, they should. I thought that they tried really hard, and I thought it was best I'd seen West Ham play for a long time, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, fair enough. Did your man Lanzini come up with anything?
Well, no, but
You're not expecting it away at the Etihad, are you?
No.
Oh, no, he wasn't the jammy pick for this week, was he? Who was the jammy pick
No,
for this
well,
week?
we sort of didn't really have one, did we? Because we periscoped. But I did say I was kind of contemplating an Everton player, so possibly Lennon or somewhere along those lines. But yeah.
And Lennon was actually very good that game.
He was fantastic.
He was very, very good that game. I watched the highlights match of the day and they singled him out as someone that was really putting in a shift down that side and didn't get the FPL points in the end, but I think still one to look out for, one we'll put on the radar later in this week, I think.
I think he was the one that I sort of came off the fence with during the Periscope, if for those of you that saw our Periscope middle of the week last week, and sort of said, I think that's where I'm heading with my jammy pick.
Okay.
So I still think he was a decent option.
And we've got to talk about hashtag Team Rondon. So we've got this thing going on Twitter with the guys from Who Got the Assist. So if any of you guys are not following the guys on Who Got the Assist, and their handle is at WGTA, Who Got the Assist _FPL. Got that right?
Really tested your brain,
right,
didn't
yeah.
it?
I'll put a little graphic on the side anyway. at WGTA _FPL. It's been a long week, isn't it? A long FPL week, yeah. But the boys on there, if you're not following them already, 100% follow them. And if you listen to their pod, which is a brilliant pod, by the way, they have this thing called Neon Watch. And he's been a bit of a cult hero for them, is Alan Neon. He's a fullback for West Brom. And Rondon is clearly a bit of a thing for us. So I decided on Twitter with the guys that we would have a bit of a Team Rondon versus Team Neon. And actually, this week, why don't we start there? I mean, it's got to be the worst place this week to start.
What, at West Brom? Of all the games, you want to start at West Brom?
Let's quickly get West Brom out of the way, bless them, because what was the result there?
Well, let's talk.
Remember.
Well, I think the only thing we should perhaps talk about in this game is the fact that Speroni played only because
What was the game?
It was 0-0.
Totally don't know.
West Brom
0-0.
Palace.
Well, okay.
But
we definitely shouldn't have started it. Terrible game.
But Speroni played, which was interesting because he only played because Hennessy got injured in the warm up.
So I understand, yeah.
But he got 3 bonus points.
Okay.
So
nice.
does that bring him back into fancy contention again? Because
so has Hennessy got a bad injury?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But does that?
Did I read somewhere it was a hand injury?
Well, that's quite bad for a keeper, isn't it? Really.
So it's bleeding obvious. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
So I mean,
keepers do need their hands from time to time.
They do need their hands. But does that make him? Because I was all for getting Speroni, wasn't I? A few games weeks ago.
Well, I think maybe he's on the radar again. I want to look into that Hennessy injury to see if he is, because Speroni's what 4-1, 4-0.
Probably about 4-1 now.
Something like that.
Because everyone got on him, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I would have thought he was probably about 4-1.
But never mind that. The game was rubbish. What I really want to talk about is Team Lyon versus Team Rondon. And we are 1-0 down, Sam. We're 1-0 down because Lyon's got a clean sheet and Rondon's got nothing again.
Yeah, but let's be honest. You've got on this bandwagon, this competition that you've created. You've got on it.
With Rondon. What a terrible idea.
Rondon, of all players, Rondon. And because of one match against Spurs where he was going to turn up. I mean, it's the most stupid competition.
It wasn't actually my idea, it was Tom's idea. So Tom from Who Got the Assist, it was his idea. But we're now, I accepted it. We're now in this thing. We're 1-0 down. Rondon.
Well, I'm not surprised Tom accepted it. He's going to look brilliant, isn't he? Because we're just going to lose every week.
Let's have a look at West Brom's fixtures going forward. They're away at Swansea, then Liverpool, then Man United, then Stoke, then Everton.
There's loads of goals in it for Rondon. Loads of goals.
Well, I don't think there's many clean sheets in it for Neom either. So watch this space. Let's see.
Can we move on and talk about a different game?
100%. Let's move on. This is the most boring piece. So much great FPL stuff going on in the last couple of days, and we've started with West Brom 0, Palace 0. Move on. Let's go.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning of the game. We can talk about Chelsea.
Absolutely got to start there. Yeah, go on. So as a non-Hazard owner, when he scores the first goal, you must be thinking, oh no, this is terrible.
I was sort of okay with the first one because I was fairly confident that Morata would provide me with something.
Morata look very, very good. Very good. They both look. I mean, they've got a very good understanding going on. These guys.
They have. So I was fairly all right with the first Hazard goal. I was thinking, yeah, all right, I'll give you that because I think Morata will get me one, so it'll compensate. And then when we were driving, weren't we? We got out the car, walked from the car to the house, and you turned the TV on and went, oh, there's been another goal. And I was like, don't be Hazard, don't.
And I'm kind of glad I didn't see it live because if my FPL captain, Hazard or anybody else, ever takes another, what do they call those penalties? The Peneka penalties or whatever it's called, where they like chip it over. All right, he's confident and he's scored it and we're all loving it. But if he chips that and who's the goalkeeper who's up against Who were they playing?
It was Newcastle, but it wasn't Elliott again, was it?
Oh, it was Darlow, wasn't it? So imagine Darlow just stands there and puts a hand out, or he stops it. There would have been a meltdown in the FPL community, an absolute meltdown, because that would have been such a point swing. I'd have been absolutely devastated.
You'd have been in tears.
As it was, the guy, I mean, Hazard is looking very, very confident right now. He's got the form, he's got the fixtures. I think he's worth every single penny of his 10.5, whatever he is, right?
Totally. And
have you got a plan to get him then? Have you got a plan? Or you've not got a plan?
I sort of had a plan. My plan was to choose between Hazard and Morata, because really it's causing too much disruption for me to have both of them in my team. So I went with Morata, which I'm happy with. But I would like Hazard. But in order to have Hazard, I would have to make quite big changes to the rest of my team.
Change it. It's a bit sort of surgery needed on your FPL team then to get him in.
Yeah, because I'd probably have to lose Alonso and Firmino and downgrade them both in order to give me the money, that because I wouldn't want to lose Salah or anybody like that from my midfield. Yeah. So in order to have that 10.5 that I'd need, I think it might even be 10.6 now for Hazard. Okay. I'd have to do 2 other transfers to free up the cash, and then you're talking about hits, and yeah. So yes, I would like him. Is the answer? Yes, I think I'm going to spend the next few weeks sweating every time Chelsea play.
Yeah. Penalties as well. I mean, there's so much to like about him right now. He's a bonus points magnet as well. So when he gets goals, so if he scores a penalty, you're kind of looking at 7-8 points there, aren't you?
Absolutely.
For me, so for me, I think he's absolutely nailed on. I'm very, very happy to have him. I actually think there'll be a bit of a... I'm interested to see how the market moves between now and next week, because I think there's going to be a lot of movement getting off of Kane to fund Hazard, and a few maybe 4-point hits to do that. But again, let's cover that in the next video, because that's more of a transfer thing, isn't it, rather than a reaction to the game week.
Yeah. So yeah, I think in terms of the game, obviously 2 goals for Hazard got you 30, didn't he, this week? So
30 is very happy with that.
Great.
Yeah.
Morata I think he got me 13.
Disappointing not to get a clean sheet for Chelsea.
I was disappointed with the Alonso no clean sheet again. But then, I keep having moments of thinking, oh, shall I take Alonso out? But then I look at Chelsea's fixtures and I think...
Yeah, and fixtures this year have tended to be where the clean sheets for the defenders come from. I mean, we every now and again a defender, if you like, or a team hits a bit of form, like clearly United, you'd have a defender. But typically, generally speaking, this season, the clean sheets have tended to go with fixtures.
Yeah.
So if I had Alonso or Azpilicueta or even Christensen, actually, who had a decent couple of opportunities in that game... it was sloppy. The Gale goal was sloppy, and actually
from Alonso,
sloppy from Alonso and a couple of others. So I was surprised as anybody to see that Newcastle were 1-0 up at Stamford Bridge. In the end, the class shone through, and kind of unlucky not to get a clean sheet for your Chelsea defender.
Yeah, and I just think with Alonso, he's one of those defenders like Otamendi who might not get you a clean sheet if Chelsea have a moment of madness. However, always got the potential to pop up with a goal, and so it would kind of grate on me with the way the Chelsea fixtures are now to take him out. So yeah, I think for now I'm going to be sticking with just Morata and Alonso from Chelsea. But yeah, I would love Hazard, and I am a bit jealous.
All right, so let's go to one of the other big talking points from the game week, which was the Pogba red card in the display at Old Trafford. So was it Old Trafford, right? Or was it at
it was at Arsenal.
At Arsenal, sorry. So up until that moment, I think we're all thinking about how do we engineer Pogba into our sides, and what great value he is at 8 million. Because, and I'll put some stats on the side here. 2 assists, pass completion rate was looking very good, looked very energetic, looked like he was going to get bonus points maybe with Jesse Lingard. And then, well, first and foremost, was it a red for you?
Yeah,
I don't know why you're hesitating. 100% a red.
I think so. I just think he's a bit of a plonker.
It's definitely a red. He's gone over the top of the ball. The studs are up. He's gone into the back of Bellerin. I think it is a red, and I think generally the thinking was it was.
I just don't really know what the guy is thinking about. Like, why do it? Why?
Well, I don't think. Do you know what? There was a lot. I mean, I'm the first one to criticise United, as you know, but I appreciate decent players, and he is an incredibly decent player. And I don't think he's a malicious sort of player. I don't think he's that sort of player. I don't think he's necessarily gone to injure the player. I don't think he's maliciously gone in studs up.
I'm sure he
I think he's mistimed it. I think it's silly. I think it's sloppy. It's unnecessary because of where it is in terms of where it is on the pitch. But it is a red card, and I think he's got to go for it. And now he misses the derby. Big game
is he
to
up
miss.
For 2 or just the 1?
I think it's 3, right? Straight red, it's 3 games, as far as I'm aware.
And to be fair, I actually think that his reaction to it, and waving at the ref petulantly like a child,
and the clapping, right? Yeah, the clapping, yeah.
Should actually warrant more, like, you know, if a manager was being petulant like that towards the referee, they'd get sent to the stands.
Yeah.
They'd get fined. They'd get banned.
Let's see.
So I think he should actually get more for that.
Let's see.
It's ridiculous.
So in terms of other players in that game, because it was a phenomenal game, wasn't it? We were actually out at the time and didn't watch it, but I kind of wish that we'd watched it because it was a phenomenal game, wasn't it? And Jesse Lingard, if you're gonna have some Manchester United cover. And again, we said about they've got these 3 difficult games, haven't they? They've got Watford away, Arsenal away, and then Man City at home. They've scored, I think, 4 and then 3 goals, so 7 goals in the first of those 2 difficult games. And we're all sitting there thinking they might park the bus or whatever like that. 7 goals. Lingard looks the business. Pogba looks the business.
Nothing for Lukaku again, though.
And there was something on Fantasy Football Scout earlier that I read where Mourinho is using Lukaku in a bit of a different way, actually. So when Pogba doesn't play or when they're missing a bit of creativity, Lukaku's kind of dropping deeper and he's the one working hard to create the space. He's almost like the Firmino sort of player, if you like. Now, okay, Firmino got 2 goals this week, but actually what we've seen from Firmino recently is actually he is that kind of workhorse that creates the space for the Salahs and the Manes to get the goals and the headlines, and he's kind of the unsung hero. Well, Lukaku is kind of taking on that role a little bit for Jose Mourinho when he hasn't got a Mata or a Pogba or somebody in there, right. and that's actually creating space for the likes of Lingard and Martial to benefit.
So does that make Lukaku a better option then in the next couple of games with no Pogba again? Well,
maybe, but then I don't know. You think about what just said. Lukaku is going to come deep and try and be that kind of creative sort of player. With Pogba missing, maybe Lukaku, I think he becomes actually less of an option. And then you've got the Zlatan thing as well, because I don't know whether Zlatan played much of a part in this game, but he was on the bench. He's clearly fit. He's ready to go. There will be a game at some stage where Lukaku is benched for Zlatan. So for me, I'm very glad I got off of Lukaku. Despite 7 goals in 2 games for Manchester United, he's only got 1 assist, I think, throughout that 7. I don't know if he got anything out of the game at the weekend. Lukaku didn't get any goals, did he? No assists. So for me, I'm happy not to have him. So, and he is highly owned. I appreciate that. So
and so while we're talking about Man United, then what are you doing about Jones? Are you?
It's annoying, really, because I keep thinking about wanting to get him out, and I didn't do a transfer this game week because I wanted the 2 coming out the Champions League games. And I was going to get Mustafi because I really like the way Arsenal are defending, and I thought I won't because it's United, right? And even though I thought United would probably turn up and be reserved, there's a pretty good chance, they're a very good side, United, they'll probably score. So in the end, I didn't do Jones to Mustafi. I held my transfer. I'm glad I didn't, because now Mustafi, I think, has got a bit of an injury, so that's one to look out for because he went off in that game.
I missed that.
If I sell, I think Jones is protected in the game because of the injury. If I sold him, my selling value is 5.2. But he is in the game 5.4, so I'd automatically lose kind of 0.2 just by doing the swap. So I wouldn't say I'm happy to hold, but that is my strategy right now. Is I'm holding him, waiting for him to return to see whether he gets back in that side, and I think he does. What are you doing with him? Because you still got him, right?
Yeah. See, I'm pondering on Jones at the moment because I actually got him very cheap. I think he might have been 5 when I got him. So obviously he's gone up a lot in value since then. And I don't know. I am an R a lot with him because there are other Man United defenders I could have to replace him that would still give me the Man United defensive coverage. And given that now I don't think I'm going to take Firmino out this week, that potentially frees up a free transfer for that. I'm not sure is the answer, but...
Okay, so watching brief for Jones. Quick shout out to David De Gea, who in that game I think pulled off
2 bonus points.
Yeah, and I think he did something like 14 saves, which is like the most. It's the joint top amount of saves that any goalkeeper's made in a Premier League game. I can't remember who he did that with. I'll put a graphic on the side. But what a performance from David De Gea.
When you consider that there were 4 goals in that game, 4 goals, and De Gea is getting 2 bonus points.
Trust me, when you see the highlights, it could have been Arsenal 8, United 3. I mean, he was unbelievable, De Gea. There was a double save, I think, from maybe Ozil and Sanchez, or Lacazette and Sanchez. One where he saved it, then got up and put his foot out and saved it from Sanchez. It was phenomenal. I mean, this guy, for me, best keeper in the world. Is he an FPL asset, though? What do you think?
We had him, didn't we? We both had him.
I think he 100% is. 100% is.
Because and this is another point that we can talk about next time when we film our next vlog about our transfers. Because I'm actually now thinking about do I lose Elliot, because he seems to be
okay. We can talk about that. Later in the week.
So then I'm going to be looking for a new keeper.
Okay, well, maybe it's De Gea. Not before the Man City game, though.
Oh no, certainly not.
I would say we wait for that game to get out of the way.
One last thing I do want to say about that game: Ramsey with yet another assist in that game. So that's like 4 or 5 over the last couple of game weeks.
Nice.
Like really ticking over the points.
Ticking over.
I think he's definitely one to watch. He is the one that I kept my 2 free transfers for this week for, because I wanted him.
You want him in, do you?
Yeah. So my plan was Firmino out. Keep the free transfers. Then after this game week, Firmino out. Firmino I would downgrade to somebody of the Calvert-Lewin, Callum Wilson-ish price bracket.
Sure.
And then I would be able to upgrade one of my cheapies in the mid.
Okay.
To Ramsey.
All right, look forward to talking about that later in the week. Arsenal's fixtures coming up: Southampton away, West Ham away, Newcastle home, Liverpool home, Crystal Palace away, which looks pretty promising. So
Absolutely.
Arsenal are definitely a team on the radar, and one that I'm thinking about looking at. So we'll talk about that later in the week.
All right, well, let's go up to Liverpool then, shall we? With some high-scoring game there.
Well, it's up to Liverpool, but down to Brighton, isn't it? Down to Brighton, because it was away. And actually, again, a very, very good performance from us. I was really pleased to see the little man getting on the score sheet, and I think he got 3 assists, Coutinho, as well as a goal and 3 bonus points.
No, he only got 2 bonus points. Firmino got 3.
Did he really?
Yeah.
3 assists and a goal, and he only got 2 bonus points. Goodness me. Okay, well, listen, it's something about our front 3 that just gel really well. I think
when weren't they?
On the day it just worked, and Firmino was working his socks off. It just all came together nicely. Having said that, break the deadlock with an Emre Can header, and he was kind of playing substitute centre back, wasn't he, at Emre Can? Because we've got problems there with Matip, I think, out until January with a muscle injury. So those of you that are on Liverpool defensive assets, just keep an eye out on that. Liverpool do look a bit better defensively lately. I mean, even the Glenn Murray goal at the weekend was not a penalty. No, it definitely for me was not a penalty. Very, very soft. So we could have been talking about back-to-back away clean sheets for Liverpool, which we haven't talked about since God was a boy, right? That has never happened. So if you're on Moreno, I think you stick, but just keep an eye on that Matip situation, because it sounds like we're going to be filling in with Chan and Clavan, and a few other players are kind of coming in, and maybe that defence is a bit unsettled over the next few weeks. But Moreno, a good option. So Firmino's come in for you, which is brilliant. Coutinho was the star man. Only an assist for Salah.
But you say only an assist, but
look very dangerous and very lively again.
Absolutely, and you can't, you can't really expect a player to score 2 goals every week out of the midfield, unless they're Sanchez, Hazard value, and then you expect them to be popping up every week. Salah's not in that bracket, is he?
Absolutely not thinking about getting rid of him. If anything, with the Liverpool fixtures coming up, so it's the Merseyside derby next. And we'll come to Everton in a minute, because they're having a bit
of a revival.
A mini revival.
Where is it? It's
at Anfield.
Okay.
And then we play West Brom at Anfield, then Bournemouth away, Arsenal away, Swansea home. Those fixtures look really, really nice for Liverpool going forward. So what are you thinking about? I was going to ask you what you're thinking about a double up, but you, of course, already are doubled up with Firmino and Salah. You're presumably happy to stick with that, right?
I am now.
Yeah, stick with that, yeah. I mean, and for me, I'm kind of looking at it thinking, well, 100% going to keep Salah, but
what about Coutinho?
He's not differential, is he? Because everyone's got him. So, do you think about going Coutinho? Well, maybe, but for me, if I was going to do that, I would have to take money out of Jesus to upgrade Carroll to Coutinho and Jesus down to a Calvert-Lewin, which would leave me with no Man City cover, which would frighten the life out of me every time they played. So I wouldn't have I haven't got a Sané or a Sterling or even an Otamendi or a Silva or anybody like that you have. So if I took money out of Jesus, I think I would want to. I do absolutely want to get on Otamendi. But if I do take my money out of Jesus and go to Calvert-Lewin, that gives me a hell of a lot of money to invest in midfield, but probably in a Man City midfielder. Or maybe coverage is a myth. I don't know. We're talking about transfers again. We need to be reacting to the game week rather than talking about transfers, which is our next video in a few days. So let's go straight to Everton then. So Liverpool play Everton next game week, which is a week from now. It's Sunday night tonight, so it's a week from now on a Super Sunday that I think consists of the Manchester derby as well as the Merseyside derby.
It's 3 games next Sunday. It's a 3-game
That
day.
is going to be epic. I'm really looking forward to that.
Arsenal at 12, then you guys at 2-ish, and then the Manchester teams at 4-ish.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And Everton, since Sam Allardyce come along, 2 wins, 2 clean sheets, look much better. Right, look much better. A lot of work to do, clearly, and going to Anfield is a very, very difficult game, but looking better for them.
It is, but we talked before about how actually Everton they've got decent players there. They've got the likes of Siggy, fantastic. I mean, he used to be a fantastic. Yes, he did.
Yeah, okay.
And he got a bonus point in that game. So they've got players like Siggy, who let's not forget that man was once really good fantasy asset, wasn't he? I know he's had a poor start to this season, but he knows how to tick over fantasy points.
He was a cult hero, wasn't he? Like last few seasons.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Maybe you should put him on your advent calendar.
I will do that.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Yeah. I'm glad you're following that.
I'm following. I'm following. Even not even on Twitter, and I'm following it. I think. So they've got him. They've got the likes of Rooney. There's some really top quality players down at Everton, and it was quite sad to see them in the way that they were. But this Allardyce thing seems to have really boosted them, and he's even got players like Lennon properly playing again, and he seems to be out there loving the game again, and that's lovely to see. So I think in terms of Everton, they're definitely a watching brief for me, because they could be really good fantasy assets. Because nobody's got them. Nobody's got Everton assets.
Yeah, but people are starting to talk about 1 or 2 in particular.
They are.
Tell me what you think of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because I think he looks like a very, very good player.
Absolutely. And I think for me at the moment, if I was going to go on Everton, and I was really thinking about it, had Firmino blanked again this week, that is exactly what I would have done. I'd have done
3 bonus points and a goal.
Yeah,
Calvert-Lewin.
So I would have, if Firmino had blanked, my full intention this week was to do Firmino down to Calvert-Lewin, or potentially Callum Wilson. I was going to see what happened this week, but it probably on the results it would have been Calvert-Lewin, and then I would have upgraded Tom Carroll to Ramsey, and that was what I would have done.
I like that.
Because I actually think that Calvert-Lewin has the potential as a third to be a really, really good fantasy asset this season.
And again, we'll talk about that in a few days, because my view is that is the general. I get a feel that that's the general strategy for a lot of people right now. It's 3-5-2, and they're looking for who is that third striker that's going to deliver the value. So you're going to have Morata, and then you're going to have one of either Lukaku or Kane or Jesus or Aguero, and then you've got that third one, and you've got to pick between a kind of. I think there's lots of options. There's Calvert-Lewin and Niasse at Everton for a start. And then you've got Callum Wilson.
If he plays.
If he plays, correct. Yeah, Tammy Abraham, people like that. Glenn Murray at Brighton. So there's a lot to choose from there. You've got to kind of, I think, going into the Christmas period, and we've said this before, you've got to go with somebody who is nailed on. And the way that Calvert-Lewin is playing right now, I can't see that he can't play him. Do you know what I mean? So I pulled up some stats from the Huddersfield game. 1 goal. Did he get a goal and an assist?
Yes, he did, yeah.
Goal and assist, 3 bonus points, 1 key pass, 33 duels, of which he won 13. And his heat map, as you guys can see, I'm going to put the graphic on the side there. Looks very good, getting in very, very dangerous areas on the corner of the box and in and around the box. So 100%.
I think he's a really impressive player.
Got to be looked at.
And with an Everton team that's coming back into form and is being sculpted in the way that Allardyce wants them to, whether or not you think Allardyce is the right man for the job, he's certainly the right man in terms of a leadership figure, and that is what Everton needed. They needed a man to just come in and go, this is my team and this is how you are going to play. And look at the change in them already. And
we've spoken about Calvert-Lewin and Siggy and Niasse. Really, what Allardyce does when he comes in is he comes in and he shores it up. He gets them defensively cohesive. So a quick shout out to John Joe Kenny, who is a 4.3 fullback for Everton at the moment. I think he started in the last 7. For me, I think he becomes one for the radar now, for sure, and one that I'm looking at. I think he's quite highly thought of at Goodison as well. So he's still quite a young player. And until Coleman comes back, and Coleman's got this really, really nasty knee injury, isn't he? Or did he break his leg or something, didn't he, Coleman? I can't remember, but he's got a real nasty injury that's... I think he's due back sort of end of January, but it's not the sort of injury where you come in and, you know, bang, you're match fit, and it'll take him till sort of middle of February to really come back into it.
So he's back in training from January, is that...
I think he's planning to sort of get back, you know, on the training pitch sort of end of January. Yeah, right, so in reality, fine. Match fit, not for a couple of weeks after that. So Kenny, I think looks like an all right option, and he certainly seems to be getting the starts under Sam. So one to watch, I think, at 4.3.
Okay, great. Let's talk about other decent fantasy assets then in that striking option. We'll go to Stoke, shall we? Because up at Stoke, same players again, Shaqiri and Juve.
I put a tweet out there. I was just like, how have I not put Shaqiri in my fantasy team yet? It's just week after week banging them in. And
as soon as you hear a Stoke goal, the assumption is it's a Shaqiri one,
right now. That is the case, yeah. And I'm kind of looking at it and I'm thinking, what's he's like 6'5"-ish, isn't he? He's sort of that sort of value. Yeah. So, you know, you were talking about your possible transfer moves, and we've got to stop talking about transfers because that's the next video. But you're thinking about Ramsey.
Oh, I'm thinking about everything.
You're thinking about Ramsey, but you got to be considering Shaqiri as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
6.1 he is in the game. Last 6 Premier League games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 7 bonus points, 42 points, 7 PPG points per game. I mean, at 6-1, phenomenal value in my opinion. Phenomenal value.
The only issue I have with getting somebody like Shaqiri is that I feel a little bit like at the moment I'm chasing the game because I've had a few bad game weeks, so I'm not as high up in the leagues as I would like to be.
Sure.
Which means that I'm looking at players that are slightly differentials. So that's why I've stuck with Firmino, really.
I still think he's a differential Shaqiri. I don't think a lot of people have got him.
Maybe.
He's going properly under the radar.
Really? Well, there you go. I mean, he got 2 bonus points this week. Juve with 1. Those two just seem to be...
You can't get him in this week. Hold the phone. You can't get him in. They're going to Wembley next. It's
so get everybody getting Shaqiri this week. Probably get Juve as well. Oh, we'll talk about Spurs next then because...
After a trip to Wembley, though, Burnley away, West Ham at home, West Brom at home, Huddersfield away. That looks pretty good for Stoke. After the Spurs game, and let's face it, Spurs aren't in good form.
No, let's not say after the Spurs game.
Let's get this out of the way. Come on, let's get this out of the way. Anything we need to say about Swansea?
Only that they've actually scored a goal now, so that's good. You know,
and it's not Abraham, right? Bonnie scored, so that's good. Good finish actually from Bonnie, I saw.
Swansea, I don't know. Should be doing better than they are.
Bottom of the league. Clement looks on borrowed time, in my opinion. So avoid, I would think, and I think you're right to, you know, if you're going to upgrade one of your midfielders, I think you keep Loftus-Cheek and you upgrade Carroll, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So go on then, let's speak about Watford and Spurs. How are you feeling about that result in general? Having gone down to 10 men, a point at Vicarage Road can't be sniffed at, in my opinion.
Okay, so Vicarage Road, I say it every week, whenever anybody's going to Vicarage Road, it's not an easy place to go. Watford are a decent side and they are playing very well. However, I honestly, and I said this to you time and time again, our problem at the moment is not our attacking players. All right, Kane's being a bit wasteful.
Do you think it's not?
No, I honestly believe that the major problem that we have at the moment is that Toby is injured. The worst news that's come out of today is that Toby's come out and said he potentially needs an operation, and if he has the operation, it's a 14-week recovery post-surgery. He won't be back till April. That's a disaster.
How can you sit here and say that it's not your attacking players? Dele Alli, well off it. Ericsson, well off it.
I agree.
Son takes a touch and then shoots over every time.
I think the main issue that we have at the moment is that we are starting you look at the last 3 matches, we start every game a goal behind because the defence does something ridiculous early on and we're 1-0 down. And then you spend the rest of the game chasing it. So you end up with 1-1 draws because we get a goal, but we just never really get into our stride because we're always chasing the game. And that's really frustrating as a Spurs fan at the moment. Hopefully the defensive unit will sort themselves out without Toby. They will eventually, but that's not helped by the Davidson red card this week because now we're going to lose him for a couple of games.
I think, if you don't mind me saying, I'm going to be controversial here. Going to be controversial.
Well, when are you not? When it's the Spurs?
and far be it from me to question your Spurs knowledge and your insight. I think you're being a bit kind to your forwards there. I think you've got... I mean, I know that you're really big fan of Ericsson and Ali. I am too. Absolutely, I'm a big fan of them. But Kane is getting no service absolutely zero service. When he does, he nets, because he's got a couple of goals in recent weeks, but he's not getting anywhere near. You think about how creative Eriksen was early season. Nobody could touch him.
But look at what... In order for them to be creative, they need... If you look at us at the first few games of the season, all of last season pretty much, that creative flow that we had so well always came out of the defence. It was always coming from the likes of Toby, of our wing backs, of Trippier, of Davis. Somebody at the back was driving it through to the likes of Ali and Eriksen. The balls and the views out of defence were fantastic.
So you're saying it's Alderweireld's leadership and distribution that you're missing?
Everything about that man we miss. We miss his defensive qualities because he shores them up at the back, but we also miss that vision that he has to pass the ball to Eriksen and Ali in the right places, which means that they send the right balls in. There's nothing that can be done about it. He's injured. It is what it is, but we have to find a way around it. Watford, kudos to them. I thought they played really well. I thought they deserved something from the game. I didn't think we deserved to win the game.
I thought Watford's approach, by the way, sorry to cut across you, I thought their approach was to really... they were incredibly physical. I think he's being kind. They're incredibly physical, and I think it's been and
we don't like that
leveraged at Spurs before, and it's I think to a degree at Liverpool as well actually, and a few other clubs, at Arsenal maybe. That if you go there and put a few tackles in and be like a bit nasty and a bit kind of like not afraid to pick up a booking, you can unsettle teams like Spurs, and you can unsettle players like Eriksen and Ali and Son and players like that. So I think Watford did a bit of a job. I think they came with the intention of really bossing you, and I think they did. I think they did a good job.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. And I think, you were saying, about Stoke, they've got to go to Wembley next. There's no reason why that Stoke team can't score against us. Absolutely no reason at all.
Spurs FPL assets then, they've got two what looks like really nice home games next. So as we mentioned, Stoke at home, Brighton at home, then away at Man City, which is going to be really tough.
But that's the sort of game where Brett will turn up and play at.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. And then Burnley away, Southampton at home. So, I think there's going to be a lot of people, and I'm really keen to look at this over the next year, a lot of people selling Kane to fund Hazards and players like that. I assume you're not.
I'm not, no.
I assume you're not. And I can't either. I mean, I look at those two fixtures, Stoke at home and Brighton at home. I can't bring myself to sell, and Kane's my only Spurs, but I can't bring myself to go into those two games without him. I think it's really important that you have him. And yes, you look at his performances against those sorts of teams at Wembley where, Spurs have a lot of the ball, there's not a lot of space in behind for Eriksen and Ali to exploit, and he often blanks against those teams. I tell you what, if he blanks against those two teams, it's a mass exodus before the Man City game, isn't it? It's a mass exodus.
Absolutely, but, for me, Kane will score in those games.
Okay.
And the armband will be back on him.
All right. Okay, anything to talk about from Richarlison very, very quickly? Looked dangerous, no FPL points. You keeping?
Yeah, because I thought he was actually quite unlucky in that game.
I think he looked well. I think he looked all right. Yeah, I'm happy to keep him for now. Watford's fixtures going forward look like this. Burnley away, Palace away, Huddersfield at home, Brighton away, Leicester home. Looks very, very good. Looks very, very good. So I would want some Watford representation in my FPL team, and Richarlison is it.
I agree.
Okay.
City, have we sort of covered City, or have we not? I can't really remember.
It's the game we've just watched, isn't it? I think we've covered it. We were talking about.
Yeah, we talked about our teams, didn't we? Really?
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on from that. Bournemouth and Southampton. Talk about that. Austin for Southampton. Do you think he's a viable third striking option? 3 goals in 2 games now, I think, for Austin.
Who's Southampton got coming up?
Southampton's fixtures coming up do not look great. So they've got to go. It's Arsenal at home, Leicester at home, Chelsea away, Huddersfield at home, Spurs away.
So in that case, no.
It's not potentially not a lot of goals there.
And the
for
only
him,
reason I say that is I think there are other players around that we talked about already, Calvert-Lewin and co, who have better fixtures and actually are going to probably get better service. And I'm sorry to say, Southampton fans, I didn't see much of that game today. I saw bits of it, but I'm still not sure about Southampton this season. Although Bertrand is annoying, because since I got off of him, he seems to
get assists, isn't he now? Yeah,
bonus points galore. But yeah, I don't know. Watching brief, I think for Austin, potential for a few weeks' time if he keeps up then absolutely got potential to be your third striker.
When he starts, he gets goals, right? I saw it on Twitter earlier, something like in his last 10 starts, he's got, let's try and find it here, 7 goals in his last 10 Premier League starts.
Is that right?
3 in his last 2.
Maybe I've been a bit unfair saying that he's not
I think it's, you're right, it's, with those fixtures, you're definitely on the radar watching, aren't you? You're probably not investing just yet, but Austin definitely there or thereabouts. Bournemouth, Callum Fraser. Who the hell's Callum Fraser? Callum Wilson rested for that game. I think it was a rest rather than an injury.
Well, I remember listening to TalkSport a few weeks ago. Can't remember where we were coming back from, but it was just after the Bournemouth game had finished or just before it started. And they were talking about how actually up front, when they're fit, they've got 3 really decent players. Because obviously they've got Josh King, they've got Jermaine Defoe, and they've got Callum Wilson.
And it was Defoe that started this game, right? And
yeah.
I think King in behind.
And so actually, and the phrase that he used was they've got an embarrassment of riches when they're fit. Obviously, you can't play all 3 of them, so somebody's always going to be missing out. And the problem is over this busy Christmas period,
you don't want that, do you?
Who is he going to be missing out? Now, I would say that Defoe's played this game. He probably won't play the next. He doesn't seem to play back-to-back games, Defoe.
No, not always.
So potentially you'll see Callum Wilson back again for their next game. But Josh King, I suppose, might get a rest. It's just food for thought, isn't it? With Bournemouth strikers, for me, it's a little bit risky. I think
to get Wilson in. Callum Wilson
to get any of the Bournemouth strikers in, but yeah, Callum Wilson would be my priority one, I suppose.
And I think if you look at the fixtures coming up, let's have a look. Palace away, and then let's not do the home and aways, but United, Liverpool, Man City, and then West Ham. So I'm, possibly looking at an exit plan for Charlie Daniels for those 3, with maybe getting him back in 20 when it's West Ham at home. But Man United, Liverpool, Man City, there's no points there for Charlie Daniels in my opinion. And at 4.7, 4.8, there's other options like Moreno. A little bit more money gets.
Unless he's going to get another worldie.
Unless he pops up with another outside of the box worldie like he did against City. You're right. But, I'd be looking at maybe Watford defenders. I'm looking at your man. Who did we put that guy on the radar before? Ziegler, wasn't it? And the guy with the mask. Didn't get much this game week. But
I made a horror challenge in that game.
What, in the Spurs game?
Yeah.
Who did he take out? Come on.
I can't really remember. I remember being shouting to
I can imagine
you.
How dare you attack one of my players?
How dare you? I think it was on Sonny. I can't really remember now. It was one of the players that I'm particularly fond of.
Might have woke Son up at the weekend. Blimey.
He scored a goal. You can't have a go at him.
Oh, I'm not his biggest fan. I think he upsets your dynamic. Anyway, this is not a Spurs podcast. Go on. Last game. Go on.
Leicester and Burnley.
Leicester
1, Burnley 0.
The big talking point from that is Mahrez's Barnet. What did you think of the new bleach blonde Mahrez?
It's typical Mahrez, isn't it?
It's sort of detracting from his crap performances recently.
Look at me. Yeah. I'm here.
To get an assist, I think.
Got an assist. I don't know if you can say he's been bad lately. He's had a couple of assists recently.
Yeah, done him a bit of a disservice, haven't I? Yeah, he's not been too bad. Damari Gray, I think, got on the end of that cross, didn't he? And you could see it in his face. I've got to score this, but I'm also going to crack my knee against this post.
And he did
you see it? And he cracked that post. But fair play, he's gone in, he's got the goal. That's ended up being the match winner, and they take the 3 points. Interesting from that game was that actually, despite it being a Mahrez to Gray goal, a lot of bonus points being shared by defenders.
Yeah, so Schmeichel got 3, Maguire got 2, and Morgan got 1.
Interesting. Okay, so that just shows you. I mean, Schmeichel clearly was keeping Burnley out. He's making saves.
Burnley obviously tried really hard, yeah.
So obviously, he's shutting the door there. But Maguire is one to have a look at, right?
We've had him on the radar a few times now.
Yeah, so for him to get 2 bonus points, he must be doing lots of pass completions. And I don't think it's always sideways like you do get with some. He's reasonably, forward thinking. Gets into some reasonable positions. Is he on like set pieces or something? Or maybe he takes the throw-ins or the corners? I don't know. But listen, Maguire's definitely one to have a look at, in my opinion. Let's have a look at the Leicester fixtures to see whether we should rein that in a bit. Newcastle away, Southampton away, Palace at home, United at home, Watford away. So a couple of tricky little away games there. But
nothing for Vardy again though this week.
No, and again I think
lots of people got him.
He's pretty popular in the game because he's in that bracket, isn't he? That Firmino bracket of 8-ish, which is a popular bracket for the third striker. I think if you were going to go Leicester, I think there's some really nice options there with maybe not Mahrez, but Gray, even Albrighton for a super cheapie.
Not Okazaki.
Oh, and of course, we should mention Okazaki. Absolutely. So Vardy for me is just a little bit too expensive for what he is, but equally not a bad pick. Burnley wise, shame to see the clean sheet go, but listen, they can't keep clean sheets every game, every game week.
And to be fair, if Burnley lose a clean sheet, everyone loses a clean sheet because
it sort of feels like that, doesn't it?
So it doesn't really matter. I know it sounds bad, but I dropped me this game week because I didn't think he'd keep a clean sheet.
And actually, there's probably more people than you think on Pope and me, or Pope and Ward, and Pope and the guy with the Polish name Tarkowski. So maybe a few doublers in there that are rightly upset, but as just a Ben Me owner, in your case,
Ben Me.
You got Ben Me as well, right? So you're kind of not too fussed about them losing their clean sheet.
I thought it was a really good game week this week.
So really interesting game week, wasn't it? And good, very good from our perspective. That must be a green arrow for you, right? Sitting on 70 points.
Well, it best be.
It's phenomenal. Yeah, it's phenomenal. So I think I jumped up.
Up to date.
Yeah, have a look. Let's do a quick review of the league.
It wasn't up to date before we started this vlog, but it's been 45 minutes, so it might.
Okay, let's give it a look. I mean, I think I jumped about 350k in overall rank, so I'm probably just outside 300k now, which is still not quite where I'd want to be, but it's an improvement. I'm getting there, slowly but surely. Let's have a look. Is it updated?
Oh, look at all those green arrows.
That makes a change.
I don't think it is up to date, no.
No? All right, well, let's have a look at the...
But we can...
do it on the next video, right?
Doing it, so we will cover this at the beginning of the next video.
Write it down. Cover the league, because we don't do it enough, do we?
We definitely cover the league at the beginning of the next video.
Cool, all right. So I think that's about it. We're going to do the next video...
We'll come back after Champions League.
After Champions League. So you think, is there any early doors transfers you want to do, or are you waiting until the European games are out of the way?
I'm doing nothing until Wednesday night.
Yeah, me too. I can't think of anything in my team urgent,
I have got 2 transfers, but I don't know... Oh, I don't even know if I want to.
Foster for Speroni or something really boring.
I don't know. But Elliot, I might sort Elliot out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm on 2 as well. Happy to hold. Let's see what the Champions League brings us. There'll be more Pep rotation. There'll be more Liverpool rotation. Let's see what happens, because there's those two massive games coming up that weekend. The Liverpool and Everton game, and then the Manchester derby. It should be a really, really great Sunday. All right, is that it? I think we're done.
We're done.
Perfect. All right, thank you for tuning in. Again, as usual, leave your comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Keep following us at FPLFamily on Twitter, where we reached 2,000 followers over the weekend. So again, thank you guys for all of your support on Twitter. That's awesome.
And don't forget to join in with Lee's Advent Calendar.
Yeah, so follow the hashtag FPL Advent Calendar, where I'm putting a Twitter post every day where I'm talking about an FPL cult hero or an FPL legend. Who have we had so far? Day 1 was Michu. Day 2 was Amir Zaki. Remember Amir Zaki?
Oh,
what a legend. And then day 3 was today was Luis Suarez, because I thought,
well,
got to get my man Luis Suarez in. So get onto hashtag FPL Advent Calendar. Look at those posts and comment on those posts who you would want to see over the next... How many days till Christmas now? 22? 22 sleeps.
Ooh,
21 sleeps,
exciting.
22 sleeps. How many FPL games, more importantly?
Oh, that's going to mean we've got to film Boxing Day, haven't we?
Oh, well, that's going to be very difficult, by the way, guys, with the 2 kids running around. That's going to be very difficult. But we'll over the Christmas period, we'll keep the videos coming, won't we? We'll keep them coming. I don't know how, but we'll keep them coming.
With wine in hand.
Wine in hand. Mulled wine in hand.
Mulled wine.
On that note, it's a good night from me.
And from me, guys.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.